Hello, and welcome to the Travels with Girlbear channel. We have arrived at the Antiquities Museum in Cairo. It is the oldest archaeological museum in the Middle East and houses the largest collection of pharaonic antiquities in the world. Join Girlbear and I inside after her ride through the scanner.
The stages in the same portions of our place. So we noticed the Egyptians have different characters, have different features, and Africa.
So for this video, I'm just going to be walking around the museum. The mic is open to the ambient noises in the room, which I think adds a little something to it. You'll hear various tour guides talking. I may make comments here and there as they kind of come to me, but let the background noise take over. This is a statue of the dwarf Seneb and his family. Seneb was a funerary priest of Khufu and Djefra, pharaohs, and in charge of the royal wardrobe. You notice his children are standing below him, and that's to give symmetry to the whole design of the statue. This is the famous Norma palette, which depicts the uniting of the upper and lower halves of Egypt around 3100 BC to create the world's first nation state. He was later known as Menes, the first pharaoh.
Egypt, and here this is the symbol, and we can see that.
Sich begeisterte immer. Setzung genannt Sinnet hatte schöne Kleidung.
Now we're moving into the room of Akhenaten, the heretic king. He has a very distinct art style, and it's very natural, and he's the one you'll see with the big poochy belly.
During the life of Akhenaten to support him to strengthen his new policy. And actually, they have voted, and you will notice here, you will see the whole family worshiping the new god, which is called Al-Qur'an. It is precious, but why? Rare.
It's easy to manage. Valuable.
Stop right
Name right there.
See right there?
That's his name.
That's supposed to be his name. They took it out.
These are the canopic jars that were used to house the lungs, livers, intestine, and stomach of the deceased, and the storage boxes they were kept in. They always came in sets of 4. So as you can see, especially walking around the top part of the museum, many of the displays are empty I'm sure much of that has been moved to either the Museum of Civilization or the Grand Egyptian Museum. This museum itself was opened in 1902, so it's been open for 121 years. So that's a long time. So it's a beautiful building, but obviously showing its age. They are working on some new displays throughout the building. It will be exciting to see how it looks in the coming years. They do not plan on closing it, even with the opening of these two other brand new museums and other ones throughout Egypt. So here we're looking at a number of coffins or sarcophagi, and inside of these wooden boxes would be the nested sort of sarcophagi or mummy cases, I guess. They're nested, so you'll see them nested two or three. So, and you'll actually see the indent and some of the other ones where the mummy laid, the wrapped mummy, and then there are layers and layers of these carved wooden sarcophagi, and that were carved wooden coffins, and they were eventually placed in a sarcophagus, the wooden box. Some beautiful papyri. Stuff is thousands of years old. Just fascinating. Some more empty cases, more papyri. This museum is just chock full of things. It's so much to take in. And having a bit of history of your own really helps you to understand what things are. It's just amazing to look at all the stuff and know it's 3,000-4,000 years old. So I just loved this room and a couple of the others up on this floor. All the little figurines, the boats, the people in the boats, all the carvings on the boats, which are so crucial to a people that lived on the Nile. But just all the depictions and the detail in them. Looks like some more canopic jars back there, and just you'll see in a couple other rooms just the beautiful, like exquisite figurines of just doing everyday life. So this tells you what the boats look like, how the people dressed. Um, just real insights into the daily life of just the average Egyptian. It doesn't have to all be about the pharaohs. These are alabaster jars. We ended up going to an alabaster factory and see how they were made. They're just beautiful. Ended up bringing one home, and they're just stunning with lights put in them. A lot of things in Egypt are made of alabaster. It's a translucent stone if it's chipped thin enough. These are headrests, like pillows. I don't know how that can ever be comfortable, but that's what they are. So here's some more of those beautiful little figurines. You can see the women at the bottom are making bread. They're kneading out the dough in big, long, probably they would have been wooden or stone troughs to make their daily bread. More little figurines. See, so here you'll see as we walk down this corridor, actually, I think this was a mummified child, perhaps, in a basket. But as we walk down through this corridor, this one that we're coming up to, you can see how the different wooden mummy boxes, I'm not sure what exactly, I'm sure there's a name for them, but how they were nested. So inside the one that you can see, the smaller one would be the actual mummy, and then you'd have different layers, and then that would be put into one of these wooden boxes that you see. So you'd have sometimes 2, 3 layers of these coffins, these painted coffins. They're really quite exquisite. Inside they're painted all sorts of symbols with the deities and the afterlife, what they did in their everyday life. Quite beautiful, and it's amazing how many they are. But again, you'll see lots of examples of how they're nested one inside the other. Sorry the camera works a little fuzzy. Still getting used to using a 360 camera, and kind of as I do this and edit videos, I'm getting a much better feel for that. But unfortunately, that's a learning curve after it was all done. But here you can see the different layers, one on top of the other, and just how beautiful they are in the artwork and skill and detail in each one. And there's so many of them. And these were not for pharaohs. These were for just probably the elite, or wives of the elite, but these were not all for the pharaohs. And there you can see, so inside those smaller boxes, coffins would be the actual mummy stacked one inside the other. And there you can see all the different layers that would have gone in. So the bottom was the smallest, and they got bigger and bigger, and then we'll go into a box. And this one looks like it's a little the opposite. There's the eyes of Horus on there, on the top. There's another lady. The museum is very hot and stuffy, so you see lots of people as you're sitting around. That guy's got sweat running down his back. No AC in this building. Like I said, it was built or opened in 1902, and just to preserve the integrity of the artifacts, a lot of that's kept to a minimum. So now we're coming up to a display of gaming pieces. They played lots of games. I know we went to a exhibit and they showed us how to play one of the Egyptian games. I forgot the name of it. But just little everyday bits and pieces of daily life, broken pots and things. This is stuff that I really love. These are all makeup palettes. So you saw the palette of Narmer. That was just a ceremonial one, but these were actually used to scrub down or to rub various pigments to make their makeup. More little beautiful jars to keep things in. Just love all the little details of daily life. So we're back down on the bottom floor where we started. You can maybe recognize some of these other pieces in the background. This is a stone that I absolutely loved. This is an amazing stone, very similar to the Rosetta Stone. This one, unlike the one in the British Museum, which is the actual Rosetta Stone, it's not surrounded by tourists, which is really nice. But this again has the same writing or the same saying in 3 different scripts. It's in hieroglyphs, hieratic, and Greek. And I was able to sort of zoom in and I see the actual writing of Ptolemy in Greek. But this is to me just as amazing, and it's even bigger than the Rosetta Stone that's famously in the British Museum. A lot of Egypt's antiquities are elsewhere throughout the world, but there you get a nice view, and you see the things in cartouches. And if you look closely, you can probably see the word Ptolemy in there. But this was probably one of my favorite things to look at in the whole place. So now we're walking around some of the stone sarcophagi. One of the nice things I do like about my camera is that I was able to see the top of that sarcophagus right here in front of us. Being on the short side, I couldn't see the figurine and the birds. Looks like they're birds on top. So that was kind of nice. So these are stone sarcophagi, and then you can see again like the mummy cases behind. And they would have been in the sarcophagi. Intricately carved, all of them. And these would have certainly been for, I'm not necessarily pharaohs. Some may have been for the pharaohs, I'm not sure who were, but they were definitely for the high officials that were right under the pharaoh. As we come around through these, you'll see one for a dwarf. Dwarves were very favored by pharaohs. One of the first things I talked about was Semet, the dwarf. There is a stone sarcophagi to another dwarf as we come up and around. You'll see him. I'll put the sound back on. we're coming to the end of our time here at the museum. I'm going to make my way out to the gift shop through another scanner. Poor Girlbear is having to go through lots of scanners. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's pretty long at 26 minutes, but it's just full of so many things. And thanks for putting up with the camera work. Hopefully it'll get better as I learn more editing. But stay tuned for our trip to the Citadel. So goodbye from myself and Girlbear, and we'll see you in the next video.